In other words, once you say that it is possible to attribute human qualities, and even more than qualities, human physicality to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, we're opening up a whole problem philosophically. In other words, once you're saying that a person is created komas ha'adam and has godliness in them, and we're saying that therefore it must be that HaKadosh Baruch Hu himself has humanness in him, so we're getting into a very pantheistic area. Do you understand this? It's a very pantheistic area. Yet, we all take for a davar pashut that a person is created b'tselem Elokim, in the image of God. So as many drushes as you want to say, even if you'll say, well, it doesn't mean the physical image, maybe it means the spiritual image, but you're still attributing physicality to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And I don't know which is worse or which is more dangerous. Giving physicality to HaKadosh Baruch Hu is one problem, and we know that you're not allowed to imagine what Hashem looks like. On the other hand, Rashi says, don't make it tselem of an Adam because it looks like meat. And as Nefesh Hachaim says, and I'll tell you a better one, that Yecheskel HaNavi said, V'risi ala kisei v'hinei dmus Adam, that I can see the dmus of an Adam on the kisei. That's what Yecheskel saw, dmus Adam ala kisei. So what is going on here? So we spoke on Sunday about the Machlekes the Rambam and the Ravid, what seems to be a Machlekes the Rambam and the Ravid, where the Rambam says clearly that anybody who attributes any human aspects to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, arei zamin. In other places, apparently, the Rambam, I think in the Moreh Nevuchim, calls him a koifer. And as I said, there's really no source for this Rambam. That if you give human qualities to Hashem, I'm not advocating, Christianity or something. I'm just saying that there's no source for the Rambam. It's a chiddush in the Rambam that God can't. There is no corporeality, as it's called. There's no physicality or images to Hashem. Whatever you're going to think of, it's wrong. Yeah. No. It's strictly a chiddush in the Rambam, and the Rambam says the pshat in the Rambam is that. From in his mind, his very big mind, it was philosophically untenable to say that Hashem has any type of a shape or body because that would limit him. So the Ravid says, "What are you doing? There's Yad Hashem, Zroya Natuya, Peh El Peh Adaber by Moshe Rabbeinu saw his back; he didn't see his front." Okay, so the Rambam says Hakol Mashal L'Malitza, but still, I mean, the Rambam's saying a huge chiddush. That's he was like arguing with tens of psukim and hundreds of midrashim, and the Rambam won this also, as I pointed out on Sunday. The Rambam won this. Nobody wants to say that Hashem had a body or has a body, and even more, we don't want to say that Hashem can put himself into the body of a human. Although, once you say he has a body, he has a body. So we're in a tricky place over here. So I learned with you the Ramak in Sefer Elima. And I read it again, and I have I think a little bit of a deeper insight to it. But let me just read it to you one more time. Einoi Guf. Hashem's Einoi Guf. He's apparently commenting on the Rambam. So he says, Hine Chakas Hagshama. This idea of giving Hagshama Gashmi is Hakshama to Hashem are called the Hakshama. There were in history something called the Kas HaMagshimim. Shabtai Tzvi was very into being Megashem Hashem. Giving physical, it was a big deal. Kas HaMagshimim. And this the Rambam was against. Mikol Chachamenu Muchrachas Min Asvaro Min Aksuvim. The fact that Hashem doesn't have a body is logical. Minasvar. Amnam das harambam paragimel mehilchas tshuva sha'omer shalikai gufu bal tmuna yikra koifer. But he says the Rambam goes so far with his svara that Hashem can't have a body that he's called. If you do believe that, you're called a koifer. Vatam l'daita sherezeh mekabel elikai mashen elikai. And this I mentioned on Sunday, very deep chap, a lamda shechap of the Ramosha Cardavaro, because if you believe that this is Hashem and you worship it, and it might be a very spiritual experience and everything, but then you're obviously not worshiping the real Hashem, so now it's Avodah Zarah. It's a deep lamda shesvara. Like the issue is not that I'm calling this Hashem. So okay, you're calling it Hashem. The issue is now if this is Hashem, so then when you're davening to the wrong thing. So if you're davening to the wrong thing, then I'm davening to Avodah Zarah, because that's not Hashem. So therefore, you're a kafir. Bein bein zel bein oived Avodah Zarah hevdil. That's the same thing as being oived Avodah Zarah. Says the Ramak Sharei oived Avodah Zarah choishev shelikai hu oisat tmuna sheino elikai. Because if I'm worshiping an idol, chas v'shalom, I'm believing that this is God. So what's the problem with saying that this is God? Because now I'm saying that Hashem is not Hashem. I'm worshiping that, so I'm worshiping the wrong God. The Avodah Zarah can always be a very not only this. Well, it depends what you're saying with the Avodah Zarah. It depends on what you're. And why they're worshiping that then? Right. But the point is, if Hashem is too big to fit into anything, so even if it's not exclusive, it's still Avodah Zarah.
Is the Ramak's Lamdish applied to Shituf as well?
Yeah, you keep on asking the same question. Rabbi Natal. I don't know. Let's learn it. Sharei Yidmesh Elikai Shuoived Hu Gufu Bal Tmuna Harei Oiver Masha Eino Elikai Sharei Elikai Eino Guf Oloi Bal Tmuna. Even though the Torah says Mefurish Loisasun Iti Elikei Zav Elikei Kesav Elikei Zav, that don't make a sculpture that looks like me. Iti Oisi, Rashi says. So we see there is some kind of a. So what does that mean? What does the pasuk mean? Does the pasuk mean? And don't think that God looks like man and therefore make a structure of it. No, don't make a picture of me. There's no issue to make a sculpture of a rabbit, by the way, or a sunset. Or I mean, there's different issues in halacha about things that they worship, davar nevet, like the sun, different issues. But a man is for sure usher. Das harayvit. So the Ravid says, ain't no kaifer. Who said he's a kaifer? I'm no mikar sachal b'lisav. Surely it's foolish. The Ravid doesn't say that. He says that. Because people do believe this. Harisham shutam mikrais. First of all, that's a simple pshat in the pasuk. As I said, Yad Hashem, Peh Hashem. It's a simple pshat in the pasuk. Einei Hashem, Oznei Hashem, Nasa Adam Bitsalmeinu, Kidmu Seinu. How are you gonna translate that pasuk? Nasa Adam Bitsalmeinu, and if that's not good enough for you, Kidmu Seinu. I made man. Hashem says, Torah says, I made man in my image. So it means Hashem has an image with the Yitzhak. So the Ravid says, obviously, Medarftus Verstein, but to say he's a kaifer, it's hard to say you're a kaifer if you're believing in the Torah. Fartiknenu in Yanamelu. So now he tells us what the pshat is, and this is where I said this, but I want to say it a little bit deeper and then go further. I want to teach you. This is the whole Ramak is teaching us how to think like a Jew. Seichel pashat bli guf. How's it possible to imagine seichel pashat bli guf? Kedei sheyedu lahavshid aguf me'amalachim u'malavayin she'adam guf v'adai u'boy nefesh. V'nefesh habahamis hazois tispashe b'chol aguf. In other words, I'll give you a mashal, he says, as to how you can imagine. Can you imagine brain power without a body? Can you? Mm-hmm. like
a conscience without a body.
Consciousness.
You can't have a conscience without a person.
Conscience.
Why not?
So
why can't science?
Because there's no physical.
No, but
execution.
If the scientist was able to take a brain and somehow continue to feed it with blood, whatever it needed to be to kept alive.
No, that's a brain. That's not seichel. We're talking about seichel. Seichel is a brain is physical. You can put it
Why
into
would,
a,
why
you can put
would
it on the
it,
table.
why wouldn't it maintain? In other words, Chas v'sholom, some scientists figured out a way to strip away each body part slowly, and you just have a heart, lungs, and a brain.
Okay, now strip away the brain and the heart, and the lungs and say that there's such a thing as seichel.
But
Seichel
why
is
wouldn't whatever's left have a consciousness?
no, but let's say nothing's left.
You need a cleave.
If there's a brain,
No brain.
and lung.
No brain. Stop.
okay, no brain, fine, all right, fine,
Okay,
okay.
that's what he's saying. You can't have. It's a no-brainer. There's a lot of no-brainers walking around. So it's not hard for me. It's not hard for me to imagine. I can imagine a person without a brain, but a brain without a person. A brain without a person is a hard. What he's saying is that you have something which is ethereal, like consciousness, or it's worth going through this philosophical exercise because I think this is how we can be Ovidus Hashem. If something ethereal, something esoteric, like consciousness, like thinking, requires a kli, as you say. It requires a kli. So how can you imagine it without a kli? So now, so try to imagine like Hashem without a kli. So I just want to hear.
Just ask, what about a molecule? What is this? Is a molecule?
Okay,
physicality?
okay, it's a good question.
But also the
I don't know.
idea, the idea you need a kli for
I
consciousness.
haven't got a clue.
Is that not just the limitation Hashem put on this world? In other words,
Right.
if you want to have a conscience, you have to have a kli. That's not in his world or in the Shemayim. That's in this world.
So let me say two things. Let me just read this sentence. Amnam hu b'moach, im kein ein yachas l'seichel baznayim beinayim b'yadayim ne'she'ena mishtamish ela b'moach. See, so let me say two things. Number one is, I'm not saying this, every sefer says this, that the reason why Hashem created the world is because it needed a kli. After reading the first chapter of every Kabbalah sefer that's ever been written, which I'll talk about why did Hashem create the world, the Ramchal, the Ramak, the Arizal, even the Zohar itself. Why did Hashem create the world? Lahetiv, but it's deeper than Lahetiv, really. It's because how else can HaKadosh Baruch Hu manifest His Toiv? If there's no Kli, if there's no Gashmius, meaning like if I have all the the water in the world, but if I don't have anything to put it in, if I don't have a cup and I can't cup it in my hands, I have no way to get to that water. I have no way to water drink, so there's no hatava. So all the midos of HaKadosh Baruch Hu require Gashmius in order to work it out. That's what every sefer says. Like they require this world. They require us. Hashem requires us in order for the midos of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. It would be like we have a great thought of giving charity, $1 million charity, $10 million charity. It doesn't mean anything if I have no mechanism from which to give the charity. It remains a thought. So we understand that you need the goof in order to make what's in the moach happening. That's the first thing I want to say. Like the whole bria, what we're talking about, the whole bria, the whole purpose of Gashmis, the whole purpose of Adam, is to be able to express what's going on by HaKadosh Baruch Hu. That's clear to me. Is that hard for anybody to that's the whole purpose of the Bria. But you see how that can bring you to Avodah Zarah very quickly? 1 second, please, because I get mixed up easily. That's point one. Point two is, and this is what he's saying here, that, our hands are able to do things. We can give tzedakah. Our feet are able to run. Our stomachs can digest, our heart can feel. But none of it can happen without a brain. Agree?
Yeah.
None of it can happen without a brain. So is there anybody who says that I've got brains in my hands? No. So what do you have in your hands? They are executing the instructions of the brain. So let's call it, in my unprofessional language, let's call it the nerve endings of our brain. Meaning there's a nervous system. I believe this is my insight of this morning that I think the Ramak is saying. There's a nervous system. The nervous system is not brains. So my hands will do this, my hands will do that, my hands will fidget, my hands will give tzedakah, but it requires the brain and the heart to do it. Otherwise, it's a robotic act, doesn't have any brains to it. So just because your hands can do something, it doesn't mean your hands have brains in it. So what he's saying is that just because the Bria works, it doesn't mean that the Bria has a Kodesh Baruch Hu in it. So let's call the Bria, which is the pantheistic way of thinking. Well, the world. Look at the sunrise. Look at the beautiful, nature. Look at how the birds are chirping. There's God in them woods. No. I mean, yes. I'm not. But it's right. That is a reflection, a manifestation, the nerve endings of what's going on in a place where we can't conceive of it all. So, but we call them smart, but they're not really smart. Even a person is not so smart. We call them smart, but really all it is a manifestation of what HaKadosh Baruch Hu wants. Ratzon Hashem. Ratzon Hashem. It's a very deep idea. You know what makes it easier? Listen to this. Smartphone. Smartphone. Is it smart?
No.
It's stupid. It's a piece of plastic. You can if you and the smarter it is, the stupider it is, because today if you get like the iPhone 10, so without the internet, if you're disconnected, it can do almost nothing. The whole concept is that nothing is in the phone, and the more there's Wi-Fi around, the less the phone itself is smart, and yet it's called smart, and smarter and smarter and smarter. What's it really doing? It's being stupider and stupider and stupider, because what you're seeing here is the wisdom of the cloud, which is coming into the phone. It's not, I'm into it because yesterday I watched somebody's phone get dirty. I was in Tel Aviv, and he went, just a guy, I don't know who he was, but I was in the restroom with him. His phone was all dirty, and he started to say some not nice Israeli words, and then he puts it under the faucet, and he's washing off. So I said, "Whoa!" So I looked at him. So I said, "You're not worried about being Kokel?" He said, "It's an iPhone 10." I don't know the end of the story, but it just was like nothing. You just wash it off like you wash your hands. You just wash it off as pellet ago. No, so what is it? What does it mean? It's the smartness of the phone is graduated to the smartness of a cup. It's mamash a kli. It's mamash a kli. And the more brains that has in it, the less you want to put it under water. I mean, I don't want to keep on going with this mashal, but it's a good mashal actually, because on the one hand, let's assume for a second that if we're not there, we will be there by the time we get to the iPhone 12. We will be at a place where the phone will be so smart and so stupid at the same time. It will do nothing, but it has to be connected to a higher source. Lahavdil. Mitzad Sheni, the cloud can do nothing without this silly little device that you can put underwater. So you understand why Hashem created the world? Because I'm saying a mashal. Like, what are you going to do with millions of terabytes of stuff if there isn't a simple machshir to catch it and do something with it? Okay, now I can play Lord of the Rings or something like that. What's the now of course you can use it, as we all know, you can use it l'toiv and you can use it l'ra, and it's dangerous in the hands of children, etc. and many adults. But I'm just saying, as a mashal, if that's dangerous in the hands of children, how dangerous is our bodies in the hands of children or people that are not developed in a Torah way? Because you can just also use the koach that we have in our body for any which way, even to the point where it's destroying the cloud. If you're an Israeli who doesn't like Russians, you see, you can go backwards and actually destroy. It's gewaldic, I read, I don't know if it's true, I just read a couple of, with all the politics that's going on, I read that Israel, Mossad, whoever, who knows if this is true or not, but they can cause a total blackout in Tehran within 30 seconds. Everything's out. So their only problem is that the real high security places have their own generators. That's pretty good. like total blackout. It's haflu v'fela. And it's not difficult. All it is just being able to use a machshir to manipulate upwards to the cloud. You see where I'm going with this? They showed on this Israeli Mossad exhibition. That's what I was watching. That most cars today have computer drivers within it. You can remotely create a program which a person's in the middle of driving and make them crash into a wall. No need to kill the person. Just control the car and the lights and everything, because it's all done by computers. So it's all in the cloud. So what I'm saying is that if that's science fiction, I don't know. They're saying it is an MS. They show demonstrations. You can watch this. Go Google it. You can watch people making cars go into walls. You can do it. Israelis, but what I'm saying is as follows: that we understand that the kli is not smart. The kli is stupid. Mitzad echad, mitzad sheni. That kli can do everything. That's why, because that's the way Hashem created the world. Hashem created the world. The whole purpose of the creation of the world was so that there should be physical, that the cloud, lahavdil, should have a tachlis. Hashem has a tachlis by creating a world. But now it works the other way around, that the world now can do, it's being that it's the nerve endings, so your hand you can make bad choices in a sense. That's all part of the nefesh. It's all part of bechira. I don't know if you were here on Shabbos. I was talking about the Erev Rav and Moshe Rabbeinu, and so everybody's asking me for the last 4 days, without going through the whole shiur, that if there's a machlekes Hashem and Moshe Rabbeinu, so how does Moshe Rabbeinu happen to win this machlekes? How can Moshe Rabbeinu win a machlekes with HaKadosh Baruch Hu? Everything's got to be the Ratzon Hashem, right? So that's the obvious question. So I read Reb Tzaddik, but let me just explain something here. That HaTzaddik Geyser HaKadosh Baruch Hu Mekayim. Why? And not only that, if anybody here decides they want to go kill somebody, l'chayr they can. Or help somebody, l'chayr they can. The reason is because that is the bria. That is the bria. The Bechira Chavshis is part of the bria. And HaKadosh Baruch Hu, it's not just Moshe Rabbeinu who's the CEO, you're in charge. HaKadosh Baruch Hu is Kivyachol, Meshubad, to that he created something. If he created a monster, he created a monster. Now, of course, HaKadosh Baruch Hu can obliterate it. But he didn't. He doesn't. He chooses not to. He chooses to give us Bechira Chavshis. So, on the one hand, you can be a Moshe Rabbeinu, which can save the whole Jewish people. On the other hand, Lahavdil, you can be a Hitler, which can destroy the people. It's a very complicated thing, but what's important to understand. I'm not saying it's complicated. You can't understand. It's complicated. I don't understand. But what's important to understand, that it's all one package of the bria, and the very fact that this is stupid doesn't mean it's not smart. Doesn't mean that you can't do stuff with it. So what the Ramak is really saying here is that the world, particularly Adam, and this is what he says, are the nerve endings of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. What's so beautiful about this, by the way, and I want you to do me the favor and be mispointed on this with me so we can go further with. But what's so beautiful about it is this is the Ramak L'Shitase, because the Ramak says in Torah Dvara, for those of you that have been with me for a long time here, the Ramak says in Torah Dvara, under the Mita, one of the 13 Mitas of Hashem is She'eris Nachalosai. And the Ramak makes a diuk as follows. He says, She'eris Nachalosai, the remnants of his inheritance. Right? What does he say? She'eris is not a remnant, whatever that means, a remnant. It sounds like something in a carpet store. It's a remnant is of the main body. So, like the Lashon says, the Ramak, I'm just quoting the Talmud Dvar, Kemo she'er basar. What does she'er basar mean, Gil? Part of my flesh. My wife is she'er basar. Ki im l'she'ra yakaroi ve'lo vakrivoi lo. That's what they say, she'er basar. An extension of your goof. How do you know that? Okay. She'er, it's a lashon Shaar. Lashon Shiurim, by the way. Is lashon one of the teachings of the Baal Shem Tov is that a person can extend himself even through his food. That's how he explained Nena Misudasai Shel Talmid Chacham. The meaning of giving Shiurim, taking Shiurim. A person can extend themselves in gashing. It's like one hand hurting the other hand, and it hurts. It hurts. I just hurt myself. Ki hu she'er basar mamish. So if you say Bnei Yisrael she'eris nachalosai hu she'er basar mamish. So says the Rabbak. Again, you see what the Rabbak is identifying for us in two places that I know of, probably many places, but two places that I know, is the idea of the nerve endings of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. I'm saying it because I don't have a better way of saying it. An extension or the nerve endings of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And you know, like an organ donation. It's alive. It could work for somebody else. It's amazing, but it's not. It's just a kli, but it's a kli that's the she'er basar. It's part of who I am. So that's the idea of being a kli, and this is what we've been talking about for a couple of weeks already. Being a kli to the neshama, and the neshama being the kilu ratzain nefesh Hachaim himal mamish. So now let me just. So I hope I'm making it clear and not more confusing. The idea of kushir koimas adam, koimas adam. It's like she'er is nachalasai, she'er basar. So extension, nerve endings of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Do the nerves have any brains in it? Let's test our knowledge here. Do the nerves have any brains in it? No, but it still hurts. It's still alive, as long as it's connected to the brain. It's a good thing, by the way, because like if a person is if you lose feeling in your hands and in your feet, so or something like your extremities, you know, a person has diabetic or has some other reason to have what's it called when neuropathy. It's not a good thing. It's a bad thing. I mean, it means that you have people in this world that have no feeling anymore.
I have an aunt, she can't feel heat. She burns herself often.
And that's dangerous.
She doesn't realize that she's being burned.
Right. And there are also people in this world that can kill somebody and they feel nothing. A neuropathy of the brain. You're supposed to feel something when you kill somebody.
Is that something that would develop or something that person is born
They've
with?
cut themselves off. You know what the neuropathy is it's such a perfect muscle, because neuropathy is that the blood doesn't circulate to the small blood vessels. In other words, it's a blood illness, usually from being diabetic or something. So it's a blood illness where, you know, your eyes, your toes, you know, those are the first to go, because your brain, your heart, the small arteries of your heart, the blood can't get there. It's like orange juice, you know, it gets all sticky and stuff. But it can't get to these places. You're neuropathic. So you're talking about a person feels because you have a neshama. So you have a neshama, so it hurts me to hurt you. Share. But if I create a neuropathic disconnect between neuropathic, right? Disconnect between me and you, or between my neshama and me, I will cease to feel. So when you stop feeling, that's when you have tsaros. You have to make sure.
But how do you know you have tsaros if you stop feeling? How do you feel?
I'll tell you.
A mafia hitman, after a while, he just does what he, you know.
Nasalika Haber.
Richard Kuklinski, he 200 people he killed. He said he never felt anything. Never felt fear, never felt anything.
And that's I always think on Tisha B'Av here. We sit on the floor and we learn together for 3 hours, 4 hours, 5 hours. You know, that's what we do here, Tisha B'Av. You know, it's you know, it's so hard to feel like you know, the Chorban. It's so hard to feel the Golus. Try to I remember one of the big Gedolim describing that sitting on Yom Kippur in Ne'ilah and trying to, he says, like, you know, he was in Mir Yeshiva in Europe, and, you know, Ne'ilah, and everybody is crying, and everybody is, you know, having this feeling, and he wasn't feeling like he wasn't feeling. So he said, I remember his lashon, like an oisketrunkener limon. It was like a lemon that was completely squeezed out of his. He couldn't feel. He felt terrible that he couldn't feel. He couldn't cry. There's a disconnect. There's a neuropathy of the soul. I can coin a new term. So he described that, you know, finally when the Shliach Tzibur said, "Simdi moiseinu benoid liyos," somehow or another it affected him that he was able to feel and to shed a tear. It's a big bracha, because if a person could actually shed a tear, that means you're feeling still. That means you're feeling. We're all in American culture where we're trying to be like Machiavellian, where we don't feel anything. You know, like that's like cool not to feel anything. If you don't feel it, as you say, if your hand doesn't feel, it's dangerous. If you don't feel, you can burn yourself. If you don't feel, you can burn someone else. You can kill someone. The feeling is a big thing. So what's the Nakuda here? The Nakuda here for today is that the way it works, as the Ramak, is that there is no God in our hands. There's no brains in our hand, and there's no Hashem in our hands per se. But it's all the nerve endings of HaKadosh Baruch Hu that He created, a body. But it's all in the head, if you will. It's all in HaKadosh Baruch Hu. So now I want to go from here, just get a haschala, because this is so sadistic, on Reb Tzadok. The Reb Tzadok is in Malachi Asharis. This is Malachi Asharis, page Chaf Aleph. And here, he explains that that this is the way the whole Bria works. It works that you have Hashem in the world of Atzilus, and then the lowest part of the world of Atzilus, remember this technology, the lowest part of the world of Atzilus is the highest world that we are aware of. The lowest part of it is called Elikim. Hashem Elikim. Elikim, Breishis bara Elikim. From there came what comes after Atzilus? Bria. Breishis bara Elikim. So from Atzilus comes Bria. What's the transition from Atzilus to Bria? That like the same as a transition from a thought to a deed. So what happens is that you have Hashem, whatever that means, and you have his Atzilus, which comes down to Elikim. Elikim, Breishis bar Elikim, comes to Bria, starts to build a man, or the Bria, not just a man, but the whole Bria starts to be built from Bria, and then Yetzirah takes more form. When it's in the world of Atzilus, it's Echad, Yachid, Umiyuchad. This is the Rambam. When it's in the world of Atzilus, it's Echad, Yachid, Umiyuchad. It's all one. As it comes into the world of Bria, it starts to divide out. Think of it, and here's the new understanding. Think of it, I'm saying Reb Tzadok, but I'm mixing it with the Ramak. Think of it as nerve endings starting to be created from the Atzilus of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Elohim. Here's what's interesting with this I'm going to add for today. That the Torah says at the beginning, he says, Hashem Yisbarach Hu Bal HaKoichos Kulam. Whenever we say Elohim, we mean to say that he's Bal HaKoichos Kulam, right? Masha Isa B'Tur or Reb Chaim Siman Hey. First in the Torah, whenever you say Elohim, Elokeinu, Baruch Atah Hashem, Elokeinu, Melech Haolam, we should think of Hashem Elokeinu. Elokeinu is the Bal HaKoichos Kulam, that which toggles with the Bria itself. Elokim. Breishis bara Elokim. Baal HaKoiches Kulam doesn't mean like we all learned in Cheder. Baal HaKoiches, oh, he can do anything. That's not what it means. Baal HaKoiches Kulam means that's the makor of every koich that's being created in the Bria. See the difference? It's not he could do anything. We know that. Baal HaKoiches Kulam means that he took everything that's above the world of Atzilus, he put it into the Shem Elokim. That's Baal HaKoiches Kulam. Elokim means Baal HaKoiches Kulam. He can do it. All the koiches that are here are now manifesting itself in the Bria, going through this transition where it's a paradigm shift, where it's going from machshava to maisa. Breishis bara Elokim. That's what the Torah says. You should have kavanah. Torah or Chaim Siman Hey. It's brought in the Ramah. That's the kavanah of Baruch Atah Hashem. So I'm holding a glass of water. I'm saying Baruch Atah Hashem Elokeinu Melech Ha'olam. From Elokim you get down to Malchus Ha'olam. So the Elokim, the Elokeinu is very important kavanah. It says in Shulchan Aruch that this is where it all comes to bear. This is where it all comes into the world of Gashmis, is Elokim. Now, here's what's so beautiful about this. A person is created, ki b'tselem Elokim baras Adam. Or Nachmer, if you want to quote the Zayar, is a neshama is a chelik. Key word there is Elokai. So the neshama is that toggle between the world of Atzilus and the world of Bria. Further down. Well, because it's everywhere. Kevavke is everywhere. Haya, Haiva, Vihi. It's all the way down. But let's start from Elokim, make it easier to go to Malchus. Ha'olam. But what we're recognizing when we make a bracha is, wow, look at this like the alchemists have been trying to do this for generations, try to turn one thing into another thing. Hashem does that. Can turn the world of Ruchnis, that's called, by the way, Yesh Me'ayin. That's what Yesh Me'ayin is. So Yesh Me'ayin, right, is ex nihilo, is where you can take, Hashem can take the Atzilus and turn it into the world of Bria. And what's standing right there on the cusp of that? The Tselem Elokim, Baal HaKoiches Kulam. Why is that? We're not the Tselem Yud-Kei-Vav-Kei, we're not the Tselem HaMelech, we're the Tselem Elokim. So and that's what Yechezkel meant when he said Reisi ala Kisei. Kisei, by the way, where's the Kisei HaKavod on the diagram? In the world of Bria. Reisi ala Kisei, Dmus Ha'adam. And Vayaviyu as Hadavar Ad Halikim. And for that matter, believe it or not, Elohim Acherim. Because there's all kinds of manifestations, extensions, nerve endings to HaKadosh Baruch Hu's world of Atzilus. That's what the Bria is. Like it or not, that's what the Bria is. It's the Atzilus of HaKadosh Baruch Hu becoming real. It's the phone, like the cloud doing something. It's not energy, it's HaKadosh Baruch Hu becoming real. This is where you can make a big mistake, because I will tend to worship that. I will tend to worship that place. Elohim Acherim. That's Avodah Zarah. Because I've got to be able to worship higher. And what we need to understand, you're worshiping a nerve ending. It's like worshiping your hand. Wow, he's a strong hand. Silly. Because you shoot a guy in the brain, he can't throw a football anymore. Right? To worship the physical, it's all. I think I said this on Sunday that I tried to run, and the doctor in Bais Torah in Monsey told me that you can't. I told him I can't run. He says it doesn't hurt your legs; it hurts your brain. It's a brain problem. It's not a, which is probably true. But I still didn't continue to run. But the point is, what we're examining now, which is so deep and so beautiful, but it makes all the difference in the world, is the exact spot where heaven touches earth, where Atzilus touches Bria. That's Elikim, and that's where Adam is. That's where the Kisei HaKavod is. That's where we are. We're right there. And that's why the Adam is the Tzelem Elikim, but that was, so he says here later, I want to go through this with you together, but I'll actually make copies. He asks the Kasha later, it's beautiful. He says, if the main way of being Megala Kvod Hashem is through Adam, that's our purpose. That's why he's doing this, to be Megala Kvod Hashem. So why the whole world? Why is there trees and food and animals and why the whole world? So he says here, accessories. Adam is accessorized. You need all this stuff to be able to make Kvod Hashem. You know, something to just bring this in a very, this is esoteric, and I don't want to fly away here. But just, you think to yourself, sometimes you find yourself sitting someplace where you don't really want to be sitting. Let's say like the waiting room with the Misrat Apnim or something like that. You know, you just don't want to be sitting there, you know, like, why am I sitting here? To me, I said, why is Hashem making me sit here? So obviously, you could say, well, there's got to be a reason, you know, maybe I'm going to meet somebody and I'm going to be, okay, emes. But obviously, I'm sitting here because my kavanah has to be, and this is something to put your head down for a second while you're waiting in line, and to say to yourself, I'm sitting here because infinity is becoming finitude at this moment through me in this waiting room. And now what? What's happening? What's happening? How am I being Megala Kvod Hashem? So maybe it's by not getting up and screaming, you know. Maybe it's by getting up and screaming. Whatever it is, I don't know. But I know this, that when I'm sitting in a place that I don't want to be sitting, somehow or another, the whole Kvod Hashem is coming through this one pipe, and I'm the Tzelem Elikim in the room, and so is everybody else. But I'm trying to be aware of the fact that I'm the Tzelem Elikim in this room, and this whole thing is here to be a Megala Kvod Hashem because he's at Tachlis Kol Habriya. There is no other reason why anything happens. Nothing. There's no other reason. Obviously, it's to be Kvod Hashem. So Kvod Hashem, one way of being Megala Kvod Hashem is Kiddush Hashem. But maybe other things, you know. I mean, maybe I start putting tefillin on people. I don't know what it is. Maybe just my machshava can make a difference. But the first yisoid of just real derech avodah, the thing that we really need to think about all the time is that, you know, why? It doesn't have to be sitting in a waiting room. A person can be in the middle of an argument. So you can be in the middle of an argument with your wife. Like, what's going on here? You know, you take a step back. What's going on here? Obviously, somehow or another, as painful as that might be, there has to be a Gilui Kvod Hashem. Somehow or another, this has have to, because otherwise, there's no reason why it was created altogether. There's no purpose for the thing. Like it's like being, you have to be connected to the Wi-Fi. So that's the whole connection, and that's, I think, where we need to go. Al pi derech havodah, and the sheer koimas ha'adam. Right now, what am I doing here? Or is this just like in a vacuum, separate from everything? It's not. Okay, thank you for listening.
Wow.